Broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts, the Smart Cities podcast is the only podcast dedicated to all things smart cities. The podcast is the creation of ARC Advisory Group's Smart City practice. ARC advises leading companies, municipalities, and governments on technology trends and market dynamics that affect their business and quality of life in their cities. To engage further, please like and share our podcast or reach out directly on Twitter at Smart City Viewpoints or on our website at www.arcweb.com/industries/smart-cities.
Welcome to Smart City Viewpoints. I'm Jim Frazer, Vice President of Smart Cities here at ARC Advisory Group. Today we'll be talking about the 9 critical applications of a smart city and the 7 technologies that are impacting those applications. Now, smart cities, as well as those aspiring to be smart, possess the responsibility of delivering critical products and services that are needed by businesses, public workers, and citizens 24 hours a day. Residents obviously need clean water, businesses must have power, waste must be collected, and the school system must run thoroughly and efficiently. A city, county, and state relies on these functions to drive the revenue needed to operate in a prudent, cost-effective, and efficient manner. This revenue, whether from sales taxes, property taxes, income taxes, or user fees, is all dependent on a vigorous economic environment, ultimately dependent on growing economic activity and high-paying jobs. In a much broader sense, these efforts also include the 3 pillars of sustainability, which of course are preserving the natural environment, enhancing residents' quality of life, while doing those two in an economically sensible, viable manner. So each of these vertical applications that we'll discuss contribute to these goals. Cities and other large jurisdictions worldwide have awoken to this challenge of providing forward-looking, future-proofed solutions and a foundation to grow for the future. So let's jump in and talk about the 9 critical applications of a smart city. So the first is the built environment. The built environment refers to all the city's buildings, parks, and public spaces. So this obviously includes schools, firehouses, police stations, hospitals, as well as all of the internal subsystems of HVAC, security, lighting, for example. Number 2, in our application list is energy infrastructure. Energy infrastructure produces and delivers energy, primarily electricity and gas, for powering virtually all services and needs, processes, and the comfort of citizens. This includes the physical infrastructure of a substation, distribution assets, street lighting, and metering in the case of municipally owned utilities, as well as those of rural electrical cooperatives. The technologies of microgrids and energy storage, as well as photovoltaic and wind generation, are increasingly making an impact here. Number 3 in our list of applications is telecommunications. Obviously, today, telecom is critical for citizen safety and well-being, as well as for economic vitality of the community. High-capacity, well-priced broadband is required for virtually all business activities today. And in fact, it's absolutely a requirement for call centers, retail distribution hubs, server farms, medical imaging, and remote telehealth, telepresence applications. Number 4 on our list is transportation and mobility. Roads, streets, bike lanes, walking paths, vehicles, various modes of public transportation, air and maritime ports are all under this umbrella. And as we know, today, paradigm shifts are happening in many domains of mobility, from transportation service providers like Uber and Lyft to more highly integrated mobility as a service initiatives built on blockchain. Connected vehicle technologies are promising a reduction of traffic incidents by up to 80% by simply the addition of connected vehicle technology to your vehicle or to your phone. And of course, autonomous vehicles may deliver you or your purchases to a final destination with an efficiency and a low cost unimaginable just a few years ago. Health and human services. Telemedicine and educational virtualization is poised to bring these critical services to underserved communities, whether rural or urban. This includes community outreach and online voting. And of course, as we record this here in March of 2020, telemedicine and educational virtualization will be very important as the coronavirus impact is yet to be fully seen. Number 6, water and wastewater. Water infrastructure includes collection, distribution, metering, and reclamation. Water purity and cleanliness is included, as well as the reuse of treated wastewater for irrigation. Number 7, waste management. The waste management infrastructure is responsible for the collection, distribution, reuse, and recycling of waste material. Worldwide, incinerators and landfills are being increasingly viewed as not the best method for processing a public waste stream. Thankfully, insightful solutions are coming to market that address these critical issues. Number 8, public safety. Public safety infrastructure, agencies, and personnel keep citizens safe. This includes the police, fire, and EMS first responders, as well as emergency and disaster prevention and management agencies, as well as the courts and correctional facilities that are included. Technologies, of course, include law enforcement body cams, as well as IoT-enabled gunshot detection systems. In fact, many of these gunshot detection systems today can fingerprint a particular gun type through their sound signatures. Payments and finance. As we stated above, sales taxes, property taxes, income taxes, and user fees are all dependent on vigorous economic environments. Payments are at the core of economic activity for cities and underlie every economic transaction for the city, including salaries and spending, procurement. Streamlining the payment process by a simple online bill payment process can yield great dividends. A unified portal, for example, can drive enhanced revenue where registration in one domain, like a city co-ed softball league, may detect an address change, creating revenue from a required driver's license update. Enhanced applications in this domain include dynamic pricing for parking and many other similar applications. Lastly, many smart city applications are available on a subscription model where revenue is shared between the private provider and the public agency, thus eliminating any upfront capital contribution from the city. So now that we've touched on the 9 vertical applications of a smart city, and just to review, they are the built environment, energy infrastructure, number 2, 3, telecommunications, 4, transportation and mobility, 5, health and human services, 6, water and wastewater, 7 is waste management, 8 is public safety, and 9 is payments and finance. Now that we've touched on those, let's take a look at the underlying technologies that are impacting every single one of these. So the first is instrumentation and control systems and the technology developments that are happening in this domain. So instrumentation and control systems are how a smart city monitors and controls the operational parameters of, for example, their electrical distribution and metering network, their water system, their transportation network. Instrumentation, of course, provides the raw sensor input of a smart city. It includes smart meters for electricity, for water and gas, air quality sensors, cameras, police body cams, and intelligent transportation systems technology on the roadway. Examples include switches and breakers and other devices that let operators measure, monitor, and control both on-site and remotely. Number 2 is connectivity. Connectivity is that machine-to-machine communications, and it's how the smart cities devices communicate both with each other, with the management center, and ultimately with the managers and the citizens themselves. Connectivity ensures that the data is properly delivered to where it's analyzed. Now, of course, examples include citywide Wi-Fi networks, cellular networks, as well as proprietary networks for electric metering, street lighting, and traffic signal control. Number 3 is interoperability. Interoperability is perhaps one of the most important in this list. Interoperability ensures that products and services from disparate vendors can exchange information and can work together seamlessly. Interoperability's many benefits include allowing city management to choose between many suppliers, thus eliminating long-term, costly sole source agreements. Interoperability also drives product commoditization, thus driving down acquisition costs. Lastly, it allows future-proofing a project because a solution can now be built out over time without concerns about whether newly added segments will plug and play with those that were installed much earlier in the process. Number 4 is security and privacy, including cybersecurity. Security and privacy are technologies, policies, and practices that safeguard our data, our privacy, as well as physical assets. Today, the publishing of clear privacy rules and the implementation of a cybersecurity system is of prime importance. We've all read about the multitude of city ransomware attacks that have been happening all over the U.S. and indeed all over the world. Security and privacy is truly foundational in smart city efforts as it builds trust with citizens, with public agency staff, the business community, and other important stakeholder groups. Building this trust is an imperative, as without it, many smart city initiatives may experience significant stakeholder pushback. Number 5 is data management. Data management includes processing and storage of the data and ensuring its accuracy, accessibility, reliability, and timeliness. Data is perhaps the most foundational building block of a smart city initiative. In order to maintain this data integrity and value, good stewardship using industry best practices and standards is required, including proper policies around access, authentication, and authorization. And in order to allow cross-pollination of applications across a city's often siloed departments, open data standards should be employed. Number 6, computing resources. Computing resources include embedded near real-time control system components up to and including substantial data center server farms. It's important to define this term broadly, as it includes mobile phones, handheld communications devices on private first responder networks, and all personal computers on the network. It can also include police body cams and other video surveillance systems, as well as other edge devices like license plate readers, for example. And lastly, information analytics, number 7. Information analytics creates actionable information, intelligence from the raw data that instrumentation and control systems collect. This can include crowd control or gunshot detection analytics in order to determine where to best deploy a police presence. It can include electricity demand response analytics in order to determine the best energy efficiency incentive for customers in near real time, and the fastest and least expensive routes for transit users. So in this podcast, we discussed the 9 critical applications of a smart city. And next, we looked at the 7 impactful technologies of instrumentation and controls, connectivity, interoperability, security and privacy, data management, computer resources, and information analytics. We thank you for listening in today, and we hope to see you on a future Smart City Viewpoints podcast. Thank you very much for listening today.
Broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts, the Smart Cities podcast is the only podcast dedicated to all things smart cities. The podcast is the creation of ARC Advisory Group's Smart City practice. ARC advises leading companies, municipalities, and governments on technology trends and market dynamics that affect their business and quality of life in their cities. To engage further, please like and share our podcast or reach out directly on Twitter at Smart City Viewpoints or on our website at www.arcweb.com/industries/smart-cities.